Video games are the inheritors of what I consider the prime directive of art, to convey meaning. To convey meaning. Now, what does that mean? It's an awfully broad directive. Perhaps the meaning of a painting is to evoke an emotion, like Edvard Munch's The Scream, where the figure's noiseless terror is instantly relatable on a primitive level. But look at any given swirl, focus in on any singular, rudimentary stroke, and the meaning disintegrates into something a toddler could draw. Taken as a whole, these purposeful swirls of color, these straight lines, that odd vanishing point, it all comes together to convey meaning. Perhaps the meaning of a sculpture is to demonstrate struggle, like this statue of Hercules locked in combat with the seemingly invincible Nemean lion. In the myth, the Nemean lion is described as a massive creature with an impenetrable hide. Hercules is tasked with killing the lion and does so by choking it to death. The sculpture shows us a massive lion, but also shows us an even more monstrous Hercules. The man has more muscle than the beast. They both have manes of hair. Both are practically nude, but possess supernatural qualities. But it is Hercules' divine blood that gives him the advantage over the monster-spawned origins of the lion. Stare at it long enough and this bronze comes alive. It tells a tale. Hercules is winning, he is dominating, and we're glad for it. Because just like every man wants to be Goku, every man also wants to be Hercules. The meaning of the sculpture is the myth of Hercules and the Nemean lion, but it's also a meaning that echoes out before every man who's ever endeavored to make more of himself. We're all given mighty labors. Hercules only had 12. Perhaps the meaning of a tower is to signify revitalization, like the Reunion Tower in Dallas, Texas. I'll admit the first time I heard the name Reunion Tower, I half expected a herd of ghostly figures clad in tattered black robes to be gathered in perpetual singularity-seeking bliss in the name of the Sephiroth and the Black Materia. But this beacon was meant to signify not some self-destructive fulfillment of an artificially created cult in Final Fantasy VII, but instead was designed as a beacon for the city of Dallas. It gives the city a distinctive skyline. It is literally a giant ball of light meant to link Dallas's past with its future. You see the Reunion Tower, you know you're in Dallas. You see the Eiffel Tower, you know you're in Paris. You see the Burj Khalifa, you know you're in Dubai. And if you see the CN Tower, then you know you've traveled too far to the north. All of these towers are just buildings: stone, steel, glass, iron, wood, concrete, wiring, doors, elevators, floating in a sea of tourist attractions and cheap gifts. And yet, these towers, these monoliths, represent something greater than the sum of all their parts. Perhaps the meaning of a video game is to entertain. You plug it in, you drop in the quarter, you blow on the cartridge, you revel in the Steam cell, you download that shady ISO image, you sit through the loading screen, you change the disc, you sit on Discord with your friends, you swap strategies, you argue which console did it better. Perhaps at one point you begged your parents to get you Mortal Kombat. Now you argue with your kids that no, Candy Crush isn't actually a video game. You try to explain to people how you felt when Master Miller took off his sunglasses, when Celeste jumped off the cliff, when Eris prayed, when the castle went upside down, when the princess wasn't, in fact, in another castle. Perhaps you're like me, where you spent the beginning of your life defending video games from a generation who saw it as a waste of time, as the source of all violence, as nothing more than murder simulators. Perhaps you're like me, where now you wish to defend our medium from being gobbled up by the mirthless, faceless organizations wearing the skins of once proud institutions from turning our medium, our art, into some mindless dopamine Skinner box, into some casino designed to extract every last dime from you. Here's the truth I've come to realize over the years, and perhaps you've always known. Video games can be truly beautiful things. They are the descendants of culture, just as painting, sculpture, and architecture carry the weight of our most important stories, ideas, and emotions. I believe, too, that video games have earned the right to be considered just as fine of an art. Edvard Munch's The Scream is emulated in Resident Evil's dramatic reveal of the first zombie. The labors of Hercules are the objective of nearly every action game you've ever played. The iconic towers of humanity's civilizations are echoed in the very game environments we, as gaming connoisseurs, seek refuge in. Whether it's the twisting Gothic spires of Castlevania, the bubbly futurist utopian designs of Mega Man, or the comfy country structures of Stardew Valley. With this channel, I want to make the case for why video games are culturally significant. I think we all know this to be true, at least subconsciously, and maybe it's the case that you were made to feel ashamed for being a gamer, and like with any hobby, overindulgence can be a bad thing. But when tastefully engaged with, an interest in art, an interest in sculpture, in music, or in writing is a wonderful way to keep yourself intellectually engaged. And I believe, with the correct moderation, the same is true for video games. And if you've watched this far and you find yourself nodding in agreement, then I invite you to join me as we continue to make this case for why video games deserve a place in the psyche of the humanities. Thank you for watching.